I want to welcome everybody to the first episode of the Asset Backed podcast. My name is Andre Sandate, and I am looking forward to launching this podcast today and having future episodes, which will feature founders, CEOs, investors, and other leaders at asset management firms that are active in this $20 trillion market. The asset backed finance market is a diverse and important part of the credit markets and includes everything from financial assets, consumer finance, real estate, mortgages, both residential and commercial, real assets or hard assets, as they may be called, including infrastructure, things like toll roads and other related physical assets. And so on this podcast, I will be interviewing, again, folks who are making investment decisions at asset management firms, folks who are building companies, so founders and CEOs and other key executives at companies like uh, technology companies or consumer finance companies such as fintech lenders and specialty finance companies and other originators, and also professional service firm executives, so lawyers and bankers, folks that work in important areas to this market, such as the rating agencies. So I look forward to uh, inviting more guests on the Asset Backed podcast in the days and weeks ahead. I'm just returning from 2 days in New York where I met with dozens of folks across this industry and got a really great reception. So I'm looking forward to bringing those folks on the show and, most importantly, bringing you, the listener, insights that can help you to learn more about this industry, connect with other leaders in the industry, and understand how these folks make decisions, how they put transactions together, and some of the factors that are making headlines that you see in the news. So, again, my name is Andres Sandate. I will be the host and then the creator of the Asset Backed podcast. I will be putting more details, such as the website for the podcast and show notes and other key details after each episode so that you can hopefully follow along where you get your podcasts and content. I hope that you'll reach out to me if you have a suggestion for a topic for a show. You can reach me at contact at endurancestrategies.com. Again, you can reach me via email at contact at endurancestrategies.com and send me ideas for future shows. Send me the names and contacts for folks that you think would be great interviews, whether they're startup company founders and CEOs or folks at big, large, publicly traded asset managers who have a growing presence or an active presence, as many of these firms do now, in asset-backed finance. So the topics on the show will be broad. We'll cover everything from specialty finance and opportunistic areas of this credit market. We'll dive into fintech lending. We'll dive into a lot of these really interesting areas, such as aviation finance and other areas. Like I said, asset-backed finance is a really big market, and it can be defined and categorized in a lot of different ways. I just mentioned four of those again earlier: consumer finance, financial assets, real estate, mortgages, and those could be, again, residential or they could be commercial, and then also physical assets, including infrastructure. So within those big, broad bucket categories, there are a lot of underlying subcategories. So I don't think we'll run into any issue finding topics. I host another podcast called ATL Alts, and That show is a more broad discussion of alternative investments, whereas uh, Asset Backed, the podcast, will be focused very specifically on the discussion, largely around credit and the players and the companies and the newsmakers and the folks that are active in this industry. So again, I'm Andres Sandate. I will be your host, and I look forward to introducing my guests in future shows. And I look forward to having hopefully you join me in the chat and in dialogue. And then lastly, I'm experimenting with a new subscription format for this show. So if you'd like to get details on how you could be part of the private audience of the show, which will feature exclusive content for a paid subscriber, I am going to create a subscription for a paid subscriber base for the first 50 folks who are interested in that. So email me again at contact@Endurance Strategies if you'd be interested in that. Those first 50 subscribers would have access to additional content and transcripts and other important uh, elements and features of the podcast. Of course, you can always listen to the free version, which will be available very soon. And many of our shows we'll try to do live. So we'll post the details for how you can tune in to the interviews, and of course, some of them will be recorded. We do hope to do many of the interviews through video chat because it's a more engaging format that I've been experimenting with, but always open to hearing your feedback and suggestions about how we can make the show and the content more relevant, more meaningful, more educational, and at the end of the day, entertaining for the 45 to 60 minute show, and hopefully keep it live, keep it flowing, keep it moving, so that you feel like you get to know these executives and these newsmakers, but also again, you're tuning in and hopefully getting a chance to learn some new things, meet some new people, and ultimately take that back to your own firm, your own practice, your own deals, and potentially be connecting with some of these folks. So, looking forward to having a growing audience on this new podcast. I went live today without a guest because I wanted to introduce the show and kind of why I'm creating it. A little bit about me and my background. I've spent the better part of 15 years now in alternative asset management. And in the last 3 years in particular, I've worked in this area of asset-backed finance for a couple of fintech companies on the fintech lending side where I ran capital markets. One was a Techstars company, 2022, actually, and that was out of Atlanta. And then I was with a boutique private credit firm where I ran the fintech origination platform before the company ultimately decided to pull back out of that niche. So I now run my own firm, Endurance Strategies, which provides advice and consulting as well as capital market services to originators. These would be lenders in the asset-backed finance market. And so you can you can define asset-backed finance again in a variety of different ways. Our podcast is going to focus on trying to cover as much of this market as we can, and we look to get really great interviews with executives, newsmakers, and also a healthy amount of startups and folks around the topic of how they raise their first debt facilities, and if they're lending into this market, how they've built their origination strategy, how they go about transacting at scale. If they're trying to deploy a lot of capital, there's a significant human capital aspect to this market, given the amount of people it requires to make loans, and to do so effectively and smartly without incurring losses. So there's a lot of different functional aspects to this industry that we would like to cover, but that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Again, it's Andres Sandate. I am your host and the creator of Asset Backed. In addition, the last thing I would say is the podcast is going to be one piece of a broader set of things that I intend to eventually launch. So in the works, I would say there are a couple of other things that you may find interesting and relevant, and then I would encourage you to go check out, and certainly to provide feedback. And would appreciate if you'd share them, with your friends, network, and colleagues that you think would benefit. So one is I published a Substack. I began publishing a Substack blog about 3 months ago, and you can find that out at Substack. You just search for my name, Andres Sandate, and you'll be able to find that. And it's really focused on this area of specialty finance, fintech lending, and kind of a niche within this broader asset-backed finance space. So again, that's out at Substack. You can look for it by just typing in my last name, Sandate. So that's one. Would definitely encourage you to follow me on LinkedIn. Again, you can find me out there if you just type in my name, Andres, Andres, last name Sandate. Please follow me. Please reach out. I love to connect and generally an open networker, and try to, if nothing else, reach out, have an initial conversation, and see if there's ways we can help one another, or make introductions, etc. So always glad to connect with you out there on LinkedIn. Of course, this show is going to be broadcast out on major podcast platforms, as I mentioned. So look for it here soon. The website that I'm going to be building for this today is one that's called specfintech.com. I had to think about that for a second. Again, that website is specfintech.com. So you'll be able to access content there as well. And then I would say, lastly, one of the things that I'm working on is actual virtual, like webinar content, and also in-person events. And so those are things that will be offered. I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. So I'll be basically doing virtual events for folks that are not here in Atlanta or not traveling to Atlanta. Those will be offered here very shortly, where folks will be able to participate in these interactive Zoom sessions with folks in this industry, very specifically folks that are active in this community that I'm building. And then we'll also have a series of live events that we'll offer, and those will, feature experts in the industry, some of whom have been on the show, some of whom will be coming on the show at some point in the future. So much like a lot of the other creators out there of content, it's about engaging in various formats and in various mediums. And so there will be the blog. You can find that out of Substack. Just search for my name, last name Sandate. You can find that there. You can find content on the website for the Asset Backed podcast. Again, that's specfintech.com. Obviously, you can tune into this show. Sometimes it will be live, sometimes it'll be recorded, and you'll be able to find that on major podcast platforms under the title Asset Backed. And then certainly, as I said earlier, on my social channels, you can engage with me on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. I do a lot of posting there, and we'll go live on LinkedIn for different shows, different content. And then also you can find me out on X, formerly known as Twitter. That's just at AE Sandate. That's my handle is AE Sandate. That's AESANDATE. So would appreciate a follow and reach out in that way. And then lastly, if you want to reach out via just traditional email, feel free to send me an email at contact@endurancestrategies.com. And that's strategies, plural. Again, that's contact@endurancestrategies.com. So Again, thanks for tuning in. This is the first episode of the Asset Backed podcast, which will feature interviews with leaders from industry, from Wall Street, from professional service firms who are very active in this $20 trillion credit market across the big verticals. Again, consumer finance, financial assets, real estate, both residential and commercial mortgages, and then also real assets, including infrastructure. So I appreciate you tuning in. I look forward to engaging with you. And until next time, I hope you have a great weekend ahead. Today is Friday. The Masters is on. If you watch golf, enjoy the tournament, and I look forward to engaging with you in the weeks ahead on the Asset Backed podcast. Thank you.